For the past 6 years or so, there's been nothing really that had me feeling like a kid again. Sinking hours into a game, losing track of time, and really enjoying the experience. There's been plenty of games I've played over that gap that I have thought were great, but very rarely ever sucking me into the world and have me playing it for hours on end. I thought with Sega's newest Sonic Frontiers, I'd be able to scratch that itch once more, suck hours into a game and enjoy every moment of it. I waited, saving up and trying as hard as I could to avoid spoilers. The game came and went, and I certainly got my fill, even going as far to make a whole 40-minute review on it. As of now, the video is almost done, but I kinda had an epiphany. What makes my video special? I don't really add anything new. I'm not saying anything 1,000 others have already said. There's some decent points and even some better jokes, but why would I upload a video that has been done 1,000 times before? And it's not like I was passionate about the project. Sure, I had fun in the game, and definitely got my money's worth, but after finishing the story, I have zero interest to go back to it. I was really hoping this game would bring back that sort of nostalgic feel that I used to have for series, but can't say that I got that. To try and cope with this nostalgic addiction I created, I delved into lots of Sonic fan games. Sonic and the Fallen Star, Sonic Robo Blast 2, and they kept me entertained for a while, but they didn't do much for me. Then I played a little game called Sparks the Electric Jester 3. Holy shit, this game is amazing. Sparks 3 is literally one of the best platformers I've played. Dude, this game hasn't left my fucking head in 3 weeks. You wanna know why I took so long to make more videos? Because of this game right here. This fucking masterpiece. Now, one thing a lot of fan games fail at is being able to form their own identity. Yooka-Laylee, while having an extreme amount of effort, fails to really expand on the mechanics originally established way back when, in new and interesting ways. Why play the new one if it has no merit on its own? A great fan game should adopt its inspiration's mechanics while assuring that they don't feel stolen. And Sparks does this flawlessly. So what is Sparks the Electric Jester? Sparks is a fast-paced action platformer with a focus on combat. Not to be confused with Sonic, a fast-paced action platformer with a focus on combat. Both of these games have the same inherent idea, but does one execute it better than the other? Yeah, it's Sparks. Having finished both of these games, it's crazy how much better Sparks feels compared to Sonic. The movement and mobility feels like night and day. Sonic feels slow and stiff, while Sparks makes you feel unstoppable. Sparks stages are large and linear, and while, yes, you're just going in a straight line, there's so many different routes and paths that the game never feels like you're just going in a straight line. From the start of level 2, I can see like 5 separate paths, each showing me different set pieces and locations that I honestly missed in my first playthrough. In level 1, for example, there's a whole city section that the game just lets you ignore. I've played through some of these stages dozens of times, and I'm still finding dozens of new areas that I haven't explored. It's honestly insane to me that the $20 indie platformer feels more open than the open world $60 title. I never had any problem trying to control Sparks, whereas with Sonic, I felt like I was watching a cutscene with how often the game would rip control away from me. Sparks is so fun to control. He has a double jump, air dash, homing attack, and a charged Jester dash. Holding trigger and B will stop Sparks dead in his tracks and charge up energy to send him flying forward. Sound familiar? Even though these are literally the exact same moves, Sparks feels completely different to Sonic, and his moves feel completely original, mainly due to the little tweaks the developer implemented. Sparks' double jump helps for better control when landing on a platform. His air dash works great for making it easier to land on platforms, but also adds more distance to your jumps. Dashing on the ground keeps Sparks' speed, which is great for maintaining your speed up large inclines. His dash against walls works similar to Mario's Cap in Odyssey. Just jump off the wall, then dash back onto the platform to get up to higher areas. Now, you may think this move isn't really that big of a deal, but It adds so much to the game. Sonic Frontiers, when you stop, there's no penalty. There's no having to gain speed. There's no having to gain momentum. You can hit the boost button and immediately gain your speed, or you can drop dash. But if you jump while in the drop dash, it kills all momentum. There is no satisfying way to gain speed. Sparks' dash, on the other hand, allows the player to gain speed automatically. Not maximum speed, you still have to earn max speed, but it helps maintain speed throughout the level. Sparks also has a homing attack. Not much really to say compared to Sonic's. These two games, as said before, are cut from the same cloth, but one cloth became a fine silk scarf, and the other's a snotty rag. All of it because the execution in their respective products. Sparks takes what works from Sonic and puts a unique spin on it. Sparks combat is fucking amazing. It blows Sonic's out of the water. All you have are heavy and light attacks, both of which have variants, when on the ground and in the air. Using the bits you've collected in each level, you can buy upgrades, powers, cosmetics, and finally combat moves, which have special abilities. Some moves allow you to send enemies flying in the air, or give you a finisher that does lots of damage. Enemy variety in the game is great. You have tiny bots that Spark can kill in one hit, then you have the big boys. Big boys can mess you up real fast if you let them, so it's great to constantly be moving. Mixing up your moves will multiply your damage and score bonus, so the game rewards you for making new and fun ways to fight. One of my favorite ways was to launch enemies in the air with one of the combos you can get in the shop, then blast them with a laser so they're stunned in midair. The bosses are super fun. While Frontiers were good, they were mainly due to the music and the spectacle of it. Sparks are fun because of the moves. The fact that you're able to juggle bosses is awesome. You're able to block and parry. Blocking just makes you invulnerable to certain attacks, while parrying rewards you with extra energy, which you can use to fuel your moves you bought in the shop. Keep in mind the parry doesn't stun the bosses, it just slows down time for a brief moment. One negative thing I have about the combat is the attack indicators. The colors of the attacks sometimes left me confused. Specifically the yellow indicators, which make it clear that you aren't able to block them, and you need to rather get out of the way. But sometimes I would notice with these attacks, it would tell me to jump on the ground, then I'd jump and I'd still get hit. Or there'd be times where I was extremely far out of the radius and I'd still get hit. What's the point of the radius if you're going to make the area of attack much larger than the attack specifies? This makes bosses like Throwback City a pain in the ass to fight. There'd be so many times where I get out of the area of effect, but I'd still take the hit. Especially when you're transferring between bosses and you spawn in right in front of someone's attack. It's completely unfair and makes the boss fight not fun. Is what I would be saying if you couldn't do the exact same thing to the bosses. There were so many times where I'd be beating the shit out of one just to teleport in front of another and he's already in the air and I'm still kicking his ass. It's annoying, but once you recognize the patterns of the bosses, it becomes a treat to fight them. Customization is crazy in this game. There's 4 difficulties. They change the amount of hit points and energy Sparks can hold at a time. The easiest mode giving you 12 hit points and expert mode giving you 2. For most games I've played, I've never really wanted to challenge myself with a hard mode, but with Sparks, I've been thinking about doing an expert mode stream at some point. Probably when I publish this video, but it's something I think would be fun and kill some time. Plus, there's plenty of power-ups that can help you save yourself. That's right, power-ups. There's 10 power-ups in the game. The more energy you build up, the more powers you can use. Some powers help you in combat, and some help you platform easier. You can equip up to 4 powers at a time and activate them with the D-pad. A lot of these have a use, but some are very specific for stages, making me wish the process of changing powers could be more streamlined. Having a couple different presets and being able to swap them on the fly before the stage loads up. There's also different characters to add on to this customization ability. Halfway through the story you unlock Float and a Reaper Jester outfit, as well as 2 more that I don't want to spoil. At first I thought these were just palette swaps, but they actually have their own abilities. Float can obviously float, and the Reaper costume allows for more crowd control in combat, as well as his dash making him invulnerable for a short time. There's up to 15 different things you can go for in these stages. Freedom medals, score medals, speed medals, and exploration medals. Freedom medals are what you get when you progress. The more stages you complete, the more you can unlock. Speed and score are exactly what they sound like. Completing a stage within a certain period of time with a certain score. You can go for the gold and diamond rank with these. And my personal favorite, the exploration medals. In a majority of stages, there will be 10 medals scattered across the map. These are really hard to find. You can buy a radar that shows their location on the map, which I highly recommend. Without it, I'd be spending 25 minutes at a time looking for these medals and only coming out with 3 or 4. But again, I think this complements the gameplay because during those 25 minutes while I was searching, I was still having a blast. The game is that fun. There's a variety of different stage types. Combat stages are really fun, just countless waves of enemies you have to defeat. Escape stages just act as high-speed sections, only having usually over a minute to finish levels. There's the creator's own version of Knuckles stages, which almost are exactly the same, except you can see medals from far away. So you'd only spend about 3 minutes in a level instead of 20. There's also another stage type called Infiltration, which is a small way of saying New York City Simulator. You drop into the map with the sole intention of fucking up as much shit as possible. These stages don't show up nearly as much as the others, the latter only showing up once, which is a shame because I really enjoyed the Infiltration stage. Smashing boxes for 7 minutes isn't nearly as fun as the speed sections. Before I played this game, I thought Sonic Frontiers was a 7 out of 10. Now, having played Sparks 3, Sonic Frontiers is a 5 out of 10. There's no debate. Not a bad game by any means. I still respect the artists, the animators, and most of all the writing, but after playing Sparks, I've had zero interest in returning to Sonic. Not until the DLC comes out at least. The world is empty and the story was good, but the pacing sucked and the gameplay was much stiffer than Sparks. I have a few complaints when it comes to Sparks, but most of which delve into spoiler territory, so if you want to go into this game blind, which I honestly recommend, skip to this part of the video to skip majority of spoilers for the ending sections. So the final level is given a life system depending on how many of these medals you've collected, and I don't mind the concept of it, but I feel like the execution wasn't great. Now, me personally, I do enjoy going back to these stages. It's fun and it's a great way to kill time, but I feel like it was just made to pad out the game. I think it's very weird that the game never specifically tells you to collect these medals. I know it's obvious, but for someone going through the game just level by level, I feel like that kind of comes out of nowhere. I kind of wish it felt more natural. I think it's interesting to have set lives implemented, but to have a 30-minute long stage and then another 30-minute long boss fight makes the life system feel so unnecessary. The idea of one long stage is fine, challenging the player and all, but there's definitely a better way to do this, and I'm surprised they didn't think of this. Instead of having lives tied to the amount of medals you collect, keep the live system, make the levels more challenging, and use the exploration medals to unlock certain parts of the level. Similar to Crash 4 with the colored gems. Incentivize going back and collecting the medals by tying it back to the level. Now, me personally, I loved going back for medals, and I think most people will. I haven't 100%ed the game yet, so maybe there's something to be said about getting the medals, but I think it just kind of comes out of nowhere, and it makes the game feel longer than it needs to be. The stage itself is really fun. Platforming is definitely the hardest part of it. Lots of gaps that you can die in. I actually had to redo the stage entirely because of the platforming stage in the white area. But when I streamed this with my buddy Ogomu TV, he had only died once or twice. But he plays Smash Online for fun, so I guess it's just a skill issue. Finally. Finally, I beat the stage. Alright, let's get another cute little cutscene or some shit. So you beat the level and it's revealed that a robotic clone of Sparks named Fark is the last sentient being after an AI gains sentience and creates a singularity that wipes out all life on the planet. The AI killed Sparks millions of years ago, and it's been revealed that his brain has been reliving the best moments of his life to distract himself from the fact that he and everyone he loves is dead. It really is a fucking Sonic game, holy shit. You would think this sudden shift in tones hurts the game, but no. The game is aware of how wacky these premises are, moving quickly throughout the story. One level you're in a Delta baggage claim, and the next you're in fucking outer space. The game never takes itself too seriously. The pacing's so quick it's almost like a Saturday morning cartoon. The only thing I'd have to say against these cutscenes are the text boxes. More so of a nitpick more than anything. It just looks like someone made these in PowerPoint and slapped them haphazardly into the cutscenes. Sometimes there's so many words, and the words contrast with the background, making it hard to follow. Characters sometimes grunt or think, and it's really awkward to read while it just lingers there. Something similar to Shovel Knight would be great, having the words show up linearly instead of just spawning in all at once. But I know that this guy probably didn't focus on the text boxes because, you know, he basically made an entire game by himself. The final boss is pretty good too, having to watch combos and dodge and parry perfectly. You unlock some new characters, Fark, classic version from the second game, pretty cool, and a new form of Sparks, and Fark's called Sparks. Alright, I know I just said this game is cheesy as fuck, but that's a terrible name, please change it. The designs are really great though, I love it. Sparks the Electric Jester is one of my favorite games of all time. There's no exaggeration to that statement. Usually when I finish a game, I don't pick it up again immediately after. I've got a bit of a backlog to get through. But Sparks is just so fun and so exciting to play. that it falls into the very low category of games I've played that are really fun to play, but amazing to master. Alright, so I thought I finished the audio, right? I thought I finished making the audio. I'm working on the video. Oh, that intro is so cool. You've already watched the intro at this point, so don't you think that intro is cool? Don't you think you want to like and subscribe because the intro is so cool? Anyways, I'm watching over this footage because I need some comparison stuff. So I go to the 30 hours of gameplay I did for Sonic Frontiers, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, I think I'm black-pilled now. I'm like, dude, this game is $60 This game is $60. Look at the speed of Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog. This is slower than the speed of a fucking granny mobile. Nikocado Avocado moves faster in a grocery store. I'm mad that I spent $60 on this fucking train wreck of a game. It's broken. I say in the video at some point, like, oh, well, you know, they're getting a bigger budget. No, that's stupid. That's stupid, Past Evan. You're fucking dumb. This is a multi-million-dollar company. I'm going to look up the budget. I don't have the number with me, and I don't have my phone. I'm sitting in a closet. So I'm just going to... Look, there. It's on the screen. I spent $60 on this game that was made by this company, and then this one guy who has talent, ability, and passion makes the game a quarter of the fucking price and 10 times as fun. In my 40-minute review of Sonic Frontiers that I fucking slaved away, I was up for like 3 nights in a row working on it. I'm like, yeah, this game's like a 7 out of 10, guys. You know, the story's the best part. Fuck that. Sonic Frontiers is like a 5 out of 10. And, you know, there's a lot of Sonic fans. I think it's an 8 out of 10. You know, if it's because of the story, that's fine, but you're not buying Sonic for the story. You're buying it for the gameplay. I contacted Feperd, and I asked him if I could ask a couple questions for the sake of the video, because I thought it'd be interesting. I asked him, like, do you get mad when people say, like, oh, it's like the best Sonic game you've never played? It's the best Sonic game. It's just what Sonic should have been for 30 years. I'm so mad at myself for being so nostalgia blind that I couldn't see I was getting fucking ripped off. I spent my whole life, as dramatic as it is to say, it's true. I spent my whole life, like, loving Sonic. I'm like, yeah, you know, he had one bad game, but Generations was good. Unleashed Day stages were good. One guy on a computer did what you've been trying to do for 20 fucking years. It took him 3 tries, and he perfected the formula. He's got everything. I'm so dumbfounded that this company, they just keep getting away with this shit. Sonic Frontiers isn't the first 7 out of 10 game we got. Look at Generations. That came out 10 fucking years ago, and that's considered by many the last good Sonic game. And that game doesn't even have a good story. Like I said, you know, the story's not the main thing, it's the gameplay. But it's like, these games are so half-baked and underdeveloped, and they're charging, like, full price almost for these fucking titles. Frontiers is full price. I feel like I've got scammed. I'm watching the gameplay, and it's night and day. It's so night and day. This company, they fucked up. Sega messed up a third of their game. The cyberspace stages. Here's a little mini review for you guys. The cyberspace stages, which are a third of the game, they're unplayable. They're not fun. Not a single stage I was like, oh, that was fun. I want to go back and play that again in a little bit. They're all unbearable. It's awful. It's like the shitty mascot horror games where all you do is walk around. There's nothing interesting to see. There's no interesting set pieces. And half of the stages are copied from older, better Sonic games. You have to be brain dead to fuck up copying and pasting levels from other games. How do you fuck up copying and pasting? It's embarrassing. This is 60, this is 20. Which one looks more fun? Which one looks more fun? Get rid of the color. Oh, Sonic. Get rid of everything. Everything. Which one looks more appealing? I'll wait. After that, I'm just so done with it. Like, I don't care that they're mentioning IDW, and the movies suck. I'll be the first to say it. The movies suck. The movies are terrible. The writer doesn't know anything about the games as much as he wants you to think he does. And it doesn't fit in a live-action world. I think I'm going to become a Mario fan because as much as Nintendo Online is terrible, at least they respect the original material and don't have to throw some shitty... They go to the real world! Sega is doing everything wrong. They are doing everything wrong. And I could say, like, oh, they're taking a great step forward for the franchise. No. This is embarrassing. This is a fucking embarrassment. Little known fact, I like Triple Jazz. I know a lot of people don't like him. He is really aggressive. That's the only thing I don't care for. Like, one time he was trying to compare Sonic Frontiers to God of War's development. You know, before I got blackpilled by Sonic, I was like, God of War had, like, a much bigger team. You can't really, like, compare the two. And he called me, like, a brain-rotted vegetable or some stupid shit. He called me something very aggressive, and I've noticed that he tends to be very aggressive immediately. I don't blame him at this fucking point. You know, I wasn't being an asshole. I was just saying, like, you're kind of reaching. But, like, do you know how many fucking times he's probably had to repeat himself? And I've seen a lot of people say, Sonic is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But that doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't. Sega could fucking experiment. Sega can try new things. But the gameplay has to be good. Nobody really in their right mind sees Sonic the Hedgehog and thinks like, man, I'm going to buy this for the story. No, you buy it for the gameplay. You buy it for the gameplay. I'm shaking my mic a lot. It's not hard to have great gameplay and still allow yourself to try new things. But Sega is so... I don't want to say incompetent, because Sega definitely isn't incompetent. They're listening finally to like Ian Flynn writing blah, blah, blah. Sega's allowed to experiment, but you need good gameplay to back it up. Let's try voice acting in Super Mario Sunshine. It was an experiment. People didn't like the game, not because the voice acting was weird. They didn't like it because the gameplay was weird. Some people love it, some people love... But that's one of the worst selling Mario games of all time. You are allowed to experiment as long as the gameplay is fun. If the gameplay is not fun and you try something new, people are going to latch onto the new thing. They're going to skip the gameplay and latch on to whatever is new and say that's the problem. Not that the game is terrible, not that the game's unplayable, and half the moves send you flying off a fucking cliff, so then you can sit through another 30-minute loading screen just to do the same shit again. All the stages are not fun. The open world is bland and boring. The boss fights are all spectacle. They're fun, but the music is carrying it. The music is the coolest part. It's all spectacle. That's what Sega is. It's all spectacle. Where's the good gameplay? Where is the fucking interesting set pieces? Where's the originality? It's not there because Sega doesn't give a fuck. It really is just nostalgia blindness. If Sega want me to enjoy and buy the next title, they need to have like a demo out, they need to have a playable demo, and they need to show more gameplay. Don't show us one island worth of gameplay. Don't show us anything interesting and just say, oh, we're not showing you anything interesting because it's a mystery. The whole island's a mystery. The last hour of the game is the entire story. There's no story until the last hour of the game. This is so embarrassing. And, these people aren't dumb. I'm not saying anyone who enjoyed the game is dumb. Everyone has different opinions. People enjoy Sonic for different reasons. But in a sheer gameplay aspect, this game is a failure. This game is a 3 out of 10. Look at Pizza Tower. I love that game. That game looks like shit. It's very well animated. It's very great. It looks great. The game is fun. The game's wacky and zany. It knows its art style, right? Sonic's art style is all over the place because Sega doesn't know what Sonic wants to be. Just make a good game that works. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do. You can get Ian Flynn to write your story. You can get fucking Martin Scorsese to direct and write your story. But if the gameplay sucks, I'm still not gonna like it. Because I'm buying a video game. I'm not buying a comic book. On the subject of Pizza Tower, that game is also a better Sonic game than Sonic. It's not even trying to be a Sonic game, and it blows Sonic out of the fucking water. I can't believe I'm ranting about this. Pizza Tower was made by one guy, and it took him 6 years. So a year extra of what Sonic Frontiers took, right? And that guy didn't know how to draw, code, or animate. He didn't know how to do any of those things. And I said Pizza Tower looks like shit, right? But it looks like shit because its art style is reminiscent of the 90s Nicktoons and point-and-click horror games from the 90s. That's why it looks like shit. But guess what? One guy made a better game with a better art style than all of fucking Sega did. All of Sonic Team. What does that say? Anyone can make a game. It takes more time if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, but anyone can make a game. Anyone can make a better game than Sega as well. That was the guy's first video game ever. And he nailed it. He knocked it out of the park. That game's like an 8 out of 10. It's great. I'm more mad at myself than I am at Sonic Team. You know, I'm not like, you lied to me, Sonic. You lied to me. Like, that's not happening. What's happening is, like, I've spent 20 years, like, loving a blue hedgehog in the franchise that he inhabits. And I'm like stunned that one guy did it better than all of a fucking multi-million-dollar company. I'm not buying another Sonic game unless they really fucking wow me. I'm gonna watch the trailers, I'm gonna react, and I'm gonna do all this crap, but they need to, like, make a good game. Not a 7 out of 10. It's because it's not a 7 out of 10. Not a 5 out of 10 game with a good writer behind it. They just need to make a good game. And if Sega can't do that, then I'm not paying $60 for a walking simulator. No aspect of Sonic Frontiers is fun. Sparks the Electric Jester 3 killed my love for Sonic the Hedgehog, and I am so fucking happy it did.